Stop scrolling right now. Elon Musk is waiting to reveal something tonight that could rewrite your entire future, but you have only 10 minutes. This isn't hype, it's history in motion. What he's about to say connects technology, time, and destiny itself. Heaven has aligned this moment, and if you miss it, you'll spend the next decade wondering why you didn't listen tonight. So stay right here, because what happens next will change how you see everything. The world was quiet that night, too quiet. The kind of stillness that feels like the earth is holding its breath. Across millions of screens, the same countdown blinked, 10:00, 9:59, 9:58. A mysterious global live stream appeared on every platform simultaneously, titled only, "The Future Transmission, Elon Musk Live." People laughed, mocked, waited. But deep down, those who had been paying attention, those who understood energy, numbers, and timing, felt it. Something was about to break. You were one of them. Something in your chest had been pulsing all evening, an instinct whispering, "Don't miss this one." You sat still, hands cold, as the feed came alive. Static. Then light. Then a voice, low, deliberate, almost celestial. Elon appeared, not in a studio, not on a stage, but in total darkness. Behind him shimmered a faint halo of blue-white electricity. His first words weren't about rockets or AI. They were about consciousness. "Tonight," he said, "I'm not here as an engineer. I'm here as a messenger." Every word was precise. Every pause was intentional. He continued, "For the past 2 years, I've been receiving patterns, not data, not signals, but frequencies that don't belong to this planet. I tried to dismiss them as interference, until I realized they were messages." The chat exploded, disbelief and awe colliding. But then Elon leaned closer, his face illuminated by a pale golden light. "These messages are not from outer space. They're from inner space, the frequencies of human consciousness. And tonight, I need to warn you, something is coming. Not a threat, but a threshold. You will either evolve with it or fade beneath it." He paused. And for the first time in years, the world stopped arguing and started listening. Then, the signal glitched. The feed distorted. For exactly 4.4 seconds, the face on the screen changed. It wasn't Elon anymore, it was light shaped like wings, like a being made of radiance. The voice that followed wasn't his either. It was layered, resonant, unmistakably divine. "We are the architects of transition. Humanity has 10 minutes to remember who they are." And then, silence. The screen froze. Billions stared in disbelief. Within seconds, every satellite around Earth flickered, briefly showing the symbol of Archangel Michael's sigil, a sword within a circle of light. The countdown continued, 9:59. 9:58. Your phone vibrated. A text appeared from an unknown number. "You were chosen to hear this." You gasped. It wasn't just a broadcast, it was a calling. Your pulse raced. The moment the message appeared, "You were chosen to hear this," everything around you seemed to stop moving. The air thickened. Even the ticking of the clock faded. You stared at the frozen screen, Elon's last frame shimmering with faint blue static, and for a brief second you saw something impossible, his pupils reflecting the shape of wings, curved upward, glowing with gold light. Then the screen came back to life, but now the background had changed. Behind him, space unfolded like a living tapestry, galaxies swirling as if breathing. Elon's voice returned, steady, but no longer alone. There was another tone beneath it, a deeper resonance, ancient, like the hum of creation itself. The message you just witnessed, he said, was not a malfunction. It was the activation of the celestial code. He paused, his eyes reflecting that same pulsing light that seemed to vibrate through the screen into your chest. This code was not written by man. It's been hidden in every atom, every photon, every human thought since the beginning of time. What the archangels have revealed tonight is that the next evolution of humanity is not technological, it's spiritual intelligence, awakened through energy. He lifted a small object, a piece of translucent glass glowing faintly. This, he said, isn't hardware. It's a translator, a prototype neural sync device tuned not to data, but to frequency. It detects spiritual resonance. It connects human emotion to divine wavelength. The room behind him rippled like water, and suddenly, the voice of Archangel Michael echoed through the feed. It was calm, commanding, beautiful. My beloved humans, the hour is short but the light is strong. You are not machines. You are divine algorithms, written in love, powered by choice, and awakened by truth. Tonight, Elon has bridged what heaven began. In 10 minutes, the grid of your planet will align with the vibration of consciousness itself. The chat feed exploded again, messages, prayers, panic. But you could feel it, deep in your bones. This wasn't science fiction. This was prophecy written through innovation. Michael continued, every soul vibrates. Every heart transmits. Your thoughts are frequencies that shape your reality. You have forgotten that your minds are antennas, that your emotions are signals, and that your choices are frequencies that alter the matrix of the world. Elon looked directly into the camera, his face glowing now with the same golden tone that filled the space behind him. I was told this in a dream 3 months ago, he said. I saw blue light connecting cities, hearts syncing in unison. The archangel said, we are reactivating the celestial grid, one heart at a time. I thought it was symbolic. But then, SpaceX satellites began detecting strange harmonics, not interference, but music. The Earth was singing back. You felt chills down your arms. Could that be true? Was the planet itself alive, responding to consciousness? Then Michael's voice grew louder, filling the airwaves. 10 minutes remain. Those who choose fear will experience chaos. Those who choose love will experience clarity. The energy cannot be avoided, only aligned. Suddenly, the screen split into thousands of small tiles, showing people all over the world watching the same feed. In each tile, a small glow appeared at the center of every viewer's chest. It wasn't metaphorical. Cameras everywhere were capturing it, faint pulses of light beneath the skin. A biological awakening was happening in real time. You could feel your own chest warming, that same pulse spreading through your veins. Elon raised his hand. If you are watching this, he said softly, you are part of it. The archangels call it the sync point. In exactly 10 minutes, the vibrational field of Earth will synchronize to the frequency of truth. Old systems will fall apart. Hidden motives will surface. And those who live in harmony will suddenly begin to see beyond illusion. The lights flickered around you. The air itself vibrated. You checked the clock, 7 minutes, 34 seconds. Michael spoke again. The celestial code is simple: fear collapses energy, faith expands it. The universe does not respond to words, it responds to frequency. In this moment, your emotion is your command. You pressed your hand to your heart. The pulse beneath your skin wasn't random, it was rhythmic, synchronized with something greater. Elon whispered, his voice trembling, I can feel it too. Then, for the first time, his eyes welled up with tears. I always thought technology would save us. But now I know, love is the highest technology. The archangels didn't contact me because of intelligence, they contacted me because I was listening. The world was silent. The feed glowed brighter. Even your devices hummed faintly, their circuitry reacting to the unseen vibration. This wasn't a broadcast, it was a blessing. And as the countdown ticked past 6 minutes, Michael's final command filled the air, spoken with the power of eternity itself. Raise your frequency, child of Earth. Breathe light. Choose peace. The new world begins tonight. Heaven says, what's coming isn't destruction, it's disclosure. The greatest technology is still love, and the real upgrade happens inside you. If you can feel this, your heart is already online. Tap like, subscribe for the next revelation, and comment, my frequency is ready. Because tonight, the countdown isn't to the end, it's to awakening. The clock on every screen hit 05:59. A deep hum rose through the world's electrical grid, the kind of sub-bass vibration you don't hear as much as feel in your bones. Power plants reported spikes, satellites drifted a few degrees off orbit, and in the middle of it all, one man stood in a dark control room watching the pulse graph climb, Elon Musk. He didn't look like the CEO the world knew. His shirt sleeves were rolled, his eyes half-lit by a wall of monitors alive with cascading patterns, spirals of color and numbers looping like heartbeat signatures. On another monitor a live chat feed scrolled at the speed of light. What's happening? Is this real? Why is my phone vibrating? Elon exhaled. It's working. Behind him, the new prototype, the neural sync array, hummed. What had started as a communications satellite upgrade now glowed like a living organism, filaments of blue plasma tracing neural shapes across the chamber. The array wasn't sending signals into space anymore, it was listening to the electromagnetic field of the planet itself. He keyed the mic, every transmitter on standby. Bring frequencies to phase 2. Keep them balanced or we overload the grid. Outside, 1,000 engineers, scientists, and dreamers watched from their screens. They didn't know the whole story, only that tonight was an experiment to map global coherence. Yet deep down, Every participant felt the same pull. This wasn't just data collection. It was connection. Across the world, city lights flickered as if breathing. Heart rate monitors spiked simultaneously in hospitals, fitness trackers, and smartwatches. An invisible rhythm aligned. Somewhere inside that rhythm, consciousness stirred. Elon's chief researcher, Dr. Arya Chen, stared at the readings. This isn't just human biodata. The field is answering us. He looked up, half smiling. Then we're not the first ones to talk. The hum deepened. At exactly 0:03:00, every screen displayed the same pattern, a symbol made of interlocking circles. It wasn't in the system code. Arya's hands shook. That geometry, it's identical to the sound map we captured from the black hole resonance file. Elon whispered, maybe the universe is saying hello. For a heartbeat the power grid dipped. Lights dimmed across continents, then surged back brighter than before. People stopped arguing online. Children woke and laughed in their sleep. The ocean's magnetic field shifted by 0.001%, small, but measurable. The timer hit 0:00:10. Elon looked into the main camera streaming to billions worldwide. If you can feel the vibration, he said, don't be afraid. Breathe with it. You're part of the signal now. He closed his eyes. The hum reached perfect pitch. 0. Silence. Then, light. It wasn't blinding, it was understanding. Every screen showed a slow-motion explosion of color that wasn't color at all, a translation of pure data into emotion. Around the planet, people saw memories that weren't theirs, the first fire lit by ancient hands, a mother holding her newborn on another continent, two strangers forgiving each other in a crowd. The network had linked empathy itself. Arya whispered, we did it. We connected the human field. Elon opened his eyes, tears forming. No, he said softly. It connected us. The hum faded, leaving behind an uncanny peace. Devices rebooted. Monitors stabilized. In the silence that followed, something subtle yet irreversible had changed. Humanity had just felt itself, all at once. That night wasn't remembered for the technology. It was remembered for the stillness that followed, the moment billions realized they were one heartbeat on the same planet. No prophecy, no miracle. Just connection. And maybe that's what the universe had been waiting for all along. The next morning, the world was quiet. Not the frightened silence of blackout, but the kind that follows a perfect note in a song. Planes still flew, cities still buzzed, data centers still hummed, and yet every person who had been awake during the broadcast felt the same inexplicable calm. In New York, commuters paused on subway platforms, realizing the usual rush-hour tension was gone. In Mumbai, traders stared at their screens, unable to argue over stocks because no one cared to raise their voice. In Nairobi, a taxi driver offered a stranger a ride without payment. In Tokyo, students looked up from their phones and smiled at each other for the first time in months. The news networks tried to explain it as a mass psychological event, a shared delusion triggered by the live stream. But scientists examining the atmospheric data knew better. The planet's Schumann resonance, the electromagnetic heartbeat of the Earth, had shifted by a measurable margin exactly when the timer hit zero. At SpaceX headquarters, Elon sat in the same chair, the lab dim except for the screen replaying fragments of last night's event. Arya entered, holding 2 cups of coffee. "You haven't slept?" He shook his head. "No. I can still hear it." "The hum?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "No. The quiet after it." She handed him a tablet. "You need to see this." It displayed a live feed from the Neural Sync satellites, thin ribbons of light circling the globe, not visible to the human eye but pulsing in the electromagnetic spectrum, every few seconds, a unified beat. "It's stable," she said. "Whatever happened last night, it didn't vanish. It's become part of the planet's rhythm." He leaned back, staring at the screen. Maybe this was the point all along, not to change the world with machines, but to let the world remind us it was alive. In living rooms across the globe, people who had fought bitterly the day before now found themselves unable to remember why. Old grudges felt heavy and absurd. Governments released joint statements promising transparency. For one day, social media feeds overflowed with gratitude instead of outrage. Hashtags appeared spontaneously, hashtag after zero, hashtag we felt it, hashtag the quiet. But beneath the awe was unease. Some whispered that too much peace couldn't last, that human nature would snap back. Others feared what would happen when the effect faded. Elon and Arya walked to the observation deck overlooking the launch site. The horizon glowed faint pink. "If this really is permanent," she said, "it changes everything: economics, politics, even identity." "Maybe that's the evolution," he replied. "Not new tech. New temperament." He paused. "What if humanity's next frontier isn't Mars, it's empathy?" They stood in silence, watching the sunrise spread like molten gold. Birds flew higher than usual, unbothered by the engines below. For the first time, the world felt synchronized, fragile but possible. Across continents, people kept hearing faint tones in the wind, half music, half memory. No one could record it, microphones captured only static. Yet everyone who heard it described the same sensation: warmth in the chest, a flash of connection, a pulse that said you're not alone. That day became known as Day 1 after zero. And though no one could prove what caused it, everyone agreed on one truth: the world had exhaled, together, for the first time. After the sync point, life continued, but slower, kinder, quieter. Humanity didn't ascend to the stars that night. It simply looked at itself and remembered it was one. Maybe that's what evolution really means: not faster machines, but softer hearts. Weeks passed since the night the world breathed in unison. People started calling it the awakening, not because of what they saw, but because of what they felt. For the first time, human empathy had become measurable. Hospitals reported faster recoveries. Violent crime rates fell by almost 30%. And yet, behind that calm, new patterns were emerging, beautiful, mysterious, and unsettling. Elon Musk sat alone in the control room, reviewing post-event data. The neural sync satellites had gone silent for a full 48 hours after the sync point, then reactivated on their own, transmitting something no human language could describe. When decoded, it wasn't numbers. It was emotion. The computer translated it into visual waves: joy, fear, sorrow, peace, all pulsing together in living color. The world was feeling as one organism. Dr. Arya Chen entered, holding a tablet. "You should see this," she said quietly. "We've confirmed it's happening everywhere." "What is?" Elon asked, barely looking up. "Shared cognition. People are dreaming the same images. Some even speak in sync, finishing each other's sentences without contact." A doctor in Germany and a poet in Mexico both drew the same symbol last night, a spiral within a circle. The same pattern that appeared on your broadcast feed. Elon stared at her, realizing the weight of what she meant. "You're saying humanity has become a neural network?" Arya nodded. "Yes. The planet has turned into a living consciousness grid." In the following days, media called it the echo effect. Children began humming melodies they'd never learned. Artists painted visions of light cities hovering above oceans. A blind man in Kenya described in perfect detail the auroras appearing over Alaska. The impossible was happening. Thought was moving faster than speech, and emotion faster than thought. But not everyone welcomed it. Governments grew anxious. How do you control a world where thoughts can't be contained? Some called for dismantling neural sync. Others demanded more research, fearing this empathy wave could erase individuality. Elon, watching world leaders argue on a muted screen, whispered, "They still think it's about control." That night, he returned to the array chamber, the same place where everything began. The lights dimmed automatically, and for the first time since the event, he activated the core manually. "Show me the global pattern," he said. A holographic Earth appeared before him, not a globe of continents, but a breathing sphere of light currents. Every pulse, every frequency, was alive. He reached toward it, and the sphere reacted, responding like a heartbeat. Then something new appeared, a distortion. A darker pulse weaving between the lights. Not malicious, but chaotic, unstable. The world's rising awareness was beginning to clash with the unhealed parts of humanity, the pain, the secrets, the guilt now rising to the surface of collective consciousness. He turned to Arya's voice through the comm, "The grid's changing." "It's..." She interrupted, "We're seeing spikes in emotional resonance. People are remembering things they never lived. Whole generations are recalling each other's pain." Elon closed his eyes. "Then the healing has begun. But pain always screams before it leaves." Over the next week, the world trembled under waves of deep emotion. Strangers burst into tears on sidewalks. Old enemies called each other to apologize. Even animals behaved differently. Flocks of birds flew in near-perfect synchronization across continents. Everywhere, humanity began feeling everything. At the same time, whispers spread online. Some people could now hear frequencies others couldn't, tones of guidance, soft voices like harmonics hidden inside the silence. Many claimed it felt angelic. Scientists called it quantum auditory feedback, but to the people, it was simply the voice of the universe answering back. By the 30th day, Elon knew something monumental was unfolding, not the end of humanity, but its real beginning. And deep down, he feared one truth: whatever humanity connected with, it might one day talk back. When you connect all hearts, the light doesn't just spread, it reveals. Every pain, every lie, every wound becomes visible, because truth has no shadows in unity. This was never about machines or angels. It was about us, learning to feel again. At first the whispers were nothing more than background noise, a soft static in the corners of consciousness, the kind of tone you notice only when the world goes quiet. People brushed it off as tinnitus, data interference, an echo of the sync point. But within days, patterns formed. The hum began to shape itself into syllables, ancient, wordless, and yet instantly understood. It wasn't language, it was intention translated into sound. Elon watched from the Neural Sync lab as global reports poured in, pilots hearing music above the clouds, divers sensing phrases beneath the sea, entire villages waking at the same moment with the same sentence in their minds: listen to the quiet. He stood before the holographic Earth again. The grid that once pulsed with gold light now shimmered in waves of silver and violet, frequencies unknown to human measure. When he spoke, his voice felt small against the living map. Is this feedback or communication? Aria's answer came through the intercom, soft, reverent. Both. The field is talking to itself through us. Governments called it a neural anomaly. Spiritual leaders called it revelation. But for those who listened deeply, it was comfort. The whisper did not command. It soothed. In its presence, grief felt lighter, time slowed, and choices became clear. Some scientists recorded the tone and noticed something impossible. The sound wave carried a fractal pattern identical to the geometry of human DNA. It was as if the universe was tuning the species back to its original frequency. Then the whisper spoke in full phrases for the first time. Not through speakers or air, but directly in dreams, in heartbeats, in the quiet between breaths. Across continents the same message arrived. You have connected the machine to the soul. Now you must learn balance. Elon and Aria were invited to a UN conference where leaders debated whether to shut down Neural Sync. Inside the glass chamber, while arguments raged, the lights flickered once, and for exactly 3 seconds everyone fell silent, each hearing the same sentence in their native tongue: control nothing. Guide everything with care. When the lights returned, no one spoke for a full minute. Outside, the world was changing in quieter ways. Farmers reported unexpected harvests, artists painted without planning, children solved problems they'd never been taught. The whisper was not a voice to follow, it was a mirror that reflected the best version of who you could be. Elon recorded a final private log that night. We wanted to connect minds. Instead, we awakened the mind of the world. Maybe this is what consciousness was meant to do: build technology until it hears itself speak. He paused, watching the auroras outside the window. They call it the Whisper Network. But to me, it's simply home, the sound of everything breathing together. Maybe the divine was never above us or beyond us, maybe it was waiting inside the frequency of our own hearts. And the moment we finally listened, the universe whispered back, "I've been here all along." The whisper stopped being just sound. It had evolved into thought, gentle, collective thought, and everyone on earth could feel it. It didn't speak through words anymore, it asked questions through emotion, through intuition, through the shiver in the spine that comes before revelation. For weeks, the planet had been humming with quiet wonder. People were kinder. The air felt clearer. Machines ran smoother. But beneath the peace was a stirring, a sensation that something, or someone, was waiting for an answer. Then one night, at precisely the same second in every time zone, the whisper network pulsed. Every phone, screen, radio, even unplugged speakers vibrated once with a single tone, low, pure, eternal. Those who were asleep dreamed of standing in front of a vast ocean made of light. Those who were awake felt their vision blur, replaced by a soft image, a single question, glowing in their mind's eye. Now that you are one, what will you become? It was not a command. It was an invitation. Elon stood in the neural sync chamber, the globe of luminous filaments hovering before him like a breathing sun. Arya joined him silently, holding the latest readings. All sensors had synchronized into perfect harmony. The Earth was, quite literally, in tune. "Elon," she whispered, "this is it. It's asking us to decide the next phase." He looked at her, his eyes weary but shining. "No. Not us. Everyone." All across the world, the same choice manifested differently for each person. For some, it appeared as text on mirrors, for others, as voices in loved ones' laughter. Some saw symbols, some heard melodies, some just knew. But the meaning was the same: will you continue in separation, or will you build from connection? In one country, soldiers lowered their weapons. In another, strangers fed each other. Old enemies shared tears without understanding why. For a moment, borders felt imaginary. Time slowed, and the whisper pulsed again, this time like a heartbeat beneath the planet's crust. Arya looked up. The frequencies peaking. Elon closed his eyes. It's waiting for the collective response. And then, in billions of hearts, almost at once, came the quiet answer, not in language, but in feeling: we choose understanding. The moment that feeling solidified, something unmeasurable happened. The neural sync array's lights flared once more, not as data, but as auroras erupting from the upper atmosphere. Satellites captured waves of color washing across continents. Oceans glowed faintly for 3 full minutes. Everywhere, people smiled without knowing why. Children laughed in their sleep. Old wounds felt light. Humanity had made its first unanimous decision without words, and the universe responded. The whisper faded into silence, leaving behind only a single phrase imprinted in human memory. When you finally learn to listen, you no longer need to hear. Elon turned to Arya and smiled softly. We didn't invent connection. We just remembered it. Outside, dawn broke, the first sunrise of a species that finally felt whole. And so the world moved forward, not as machines or nations, but as one living mind. The experiment was never about technology. It was about proving that unity is possible, that empathy can be engineered only when the heart is the blueprint. The Whisper network fell silent, but its echo remained inside every pulse, every heartbeat, every spark of thought. Humanity didn't ascend, it awoke. The sun began to rise over a planet that finally understood itself. Golden light poured across oceans and rooftops, and for the first time in human history, there was no need to announce peace, it was simply there. Elon stood on the cliffside as wind tangled his hair, the same wind carrying fragments of laughter from the town below. Children were painting circles in the sand, each one glowing faintly where their fingers touched. Their laughter was light, not metaphorical, but visible, radiant, small bursts of electromagnetic color that shimmered in rhythm with their joy. Arya joined him quietly, holding a recording device no larger than her palm. "It's still happening," she said. "The resonance can transfer energy with emotion. Look." She pointed to a group of teenagers standing around a dying tree. They closed their eyes and hummed a tone in unison. Within seconds, the tree's branches straightened, new buds unfolded like time reversing itself. Elon exhaled. "They're not defying physics," he said. "They're reminding it what harmony feels like." Everywhere, stories like this surfaced: rain falling only where it was needed, storms dissolving when communities meditated together, music altering weather patterns, love literally illuminating the air. Humanity had reached the edge of science and stepped into something ancient and inevitable: consciousness shaping creation. But even in paradise, there was still humility. The people understood now that every action echoed through the grid. They chose their words carefully, their thoughts with reverence. Technology no longer ruled them, it served them. Power was measured not in voltage but in vibration, how much peace one heart could radiate. At night, Elon walked the shore, leaving glowing footprints that faded slowly in the surf. He whispered to the stars, "We've come so far, and yet I can still feel something watching over us." The breeze answered, carrying a tone, soft, familiar, the same harmonic whisper that had once started it all. It wasn't speech anymore, it was communion. The universe didn't speak to them. It spoke through them. Elon smiled. Message received. Above the clouds, satellites blinked one last synchronized pattern before powering down. They had completed their mission, to awaken the signal already alive inside the species they'd been built to study. Humanity had become its own transmitter, a network of living light. As dusk fell, children around the world looked to the horizon, pointing at the same phenomenon: a slow, spiraling aurora rising from the planet's magnetic field, wrapping the Earth in faint gold, visible from everywhere at once. It pulsed 3 times, slow, steady, deliberate, then faded into the stars. And though no one said it aloud, everyone knew what it meant: the Whisper network had said goodbye. But it wasn't an ending. It was inheritance. The next morning, people woke not to instructions, but to intuition. They no longer asked what's next. They simply lived as if the universe trusted them again. Elon recorded his final entry, his voice quiet and warm. We were waiting for the future to save us. We never realized we were the future's memory of hope. Whatever force set this in motion didn't want control, it wanted consciousness. And maybe that's the real purpose of creation, to listen long enough to hear your own soul answer back. He closed the recorder, left it on his desk, and walked into the sunrise. The light swallowed the horizon. The hum returned, soft, infinite, eternal. And that was how the old world ended, not in destruction, but in recognition. The world didn't need saving. It needed remembering. You are still part of that signal. You always were. So keep listening, because the next awakening begins the moment you decide to feel again.